Welcome to another fantastic episode here on Small Business Celebration Meat and Potatoes Live, the show where we do a deep dive, a deep thought, where we go down a rabbit hole and maybe come out on a single subject with our guests on something that they do well in their business. But we couldn't do this without our presenting sponsors and our location sponsor. At Oliver & Associates Real Estate, we know that buying or selling a home isn't just a transaction, it's a life moment. That's why they're committed to building relationships that last. They take the time to truly understand your needs, your dreams, your stories, so they can find you not just a house, but a home. Give Oliver & Associates a call at 661-808-3444 or check them out at yourrealtor.us today. Today's Meat and Potatoes Live episode location is brought to you by Modern Gigi Gallery, an ultra-modern art gallery located in downtown Bakersfield, California, featuring the artworks of the modern abstract artist Johnny Ramos. Whether you're looking for artwork for your office, your home, or a postcard that you can send as a thank you note, go to Modern Gigi Gallery, located at 900 18th Street in Bakersfield, or give them a call at 661-840-8729, or email them at art@moderngigi.com today. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Small Business Celebration Meat and Potatoes Live. And our guest this week is Ray Miller, the owner of Energy Link. Welcome to Small Business Celebration Meat and Potatoes Live.
Man, it's great to be here today. Thanks for the invite.
And for visionaries who don't know who you are you and what is it that you do?
So I'm Ray Miller. I'm the president of Energy Link, and we love hydrogen.
Now, for visionaries who aren't familiar, if we had Ray on a couple weeks ago on the main show talking about Energy Link and their growth into the hydrogen industry, and we've gotten several questions from visionaries just like you, and that's one of the reasons we have Ray joining us today. Now, one of the things that came up, before we get into that, what is Energy Link's role in the hydrogen boom?
So our role, first of all, we got interested in hydrogen. We're in the energy business.
Okay.
We're an energy service company.
Okay.
Started out as an oil field service company.
And what kind of services do you provide?
We fix anything that goes round and round or up and down. We are
Okay.
rotating equipment specialists.
Okay, all right.
So if you have an engine, a pump, or a compressor,
Okay.
if you need a new one, we'll sell it to you. If you need yours fixed, we'll fix it. If you need a maintenance program, we'll provide it.
So for those of us that are not familiar with the way the industry works, you guys don't deal with the grasshoppers that are out in the field that go up and down and pump the oil out. You don't deal with the pipe that the oil goes down to, but you do help with the things that push the oil forward and those sorts of things?
Yeah, so in the oil exploration and production business, there's the downhole guys,
Okay.
and they do the down and down, and they do the downhole pumps and the pipes and the rods and everything that's below surface.
Right.
Those are the subsurface guys.
Okay.
Once everything gets brought to the surface, that's when we play.
Okay.
And that's our sandbox to play in. But when the downhole guys are bringing it to the surface, they're not just bringing pretty clean oil or nice fresh gas. They're bringing sand and dirt and sour gas and all kinds of stuff that we get to deal with when it comes out.
Okay.
From there, we send it off to a refinery, and then they take it so it can end up ultimately in your house or in your car.
Now, hydrogen. This is exciting stuff because, yes, we all know green energy is very important for the earth and the environment. And people are very familiar with solar power, they're very familiar with windmills as far as energy and electrical creation. But hydrogen often gets forgotten about. But it's one of the most, I would say, other than nuclear, probably one of the most immediate green energy sources we have.
So a lot of people don't know a whole lot about hydrogen for all the reasons you just explained. When you go to your gas station, you get gas or you get diesel or you get your car charged electrically, and we're all kind of in tune with that. In California, there's a few hydrogen refueling stations, so there's some people in California that are kind of with it, but rumor has it there's one station in Hawaii. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Well, it sounds like a business trip to go find out if I ever saw one, right?
Next.
You and I, we'll go
next
find out,
station,
right?
Hawaii.
Exactly.
Yes, it'll be the well-tanned version of this event. So the hydrogen guys haven't made mainstream yet. And we'll find out. One of my favorite sayings is from a friend of mine, John Cornish, that said, for the last 40 years, hydrogen's been 10 years away from being mainstream.
Right.
And starting to feel that way again now.
Right.
But I'm part of the process now, and I'm going to help make hydrogen be the fuel of the future.
The viability, or the reason why there's even a thought of going into hydrogen, is because how long does it take a standard car or 18-wheeler, how long does it take to refuel one of those with hydrogen?
It's the same process as getting gasoline or diesel. It's a 5-minute, 6-minute process.
And then and especially for 18-wheelers and trucks and that sort of thing, where immediately hydrogen is probably going to go first before residential automobiles. The advantage to using hydrogen over battery-powered electric or even natural gas is?
Clean. Hydrogen is clean. Hydrogen is clean, and hydrogen is powerful. So the advantage is it's clean. The advantage over the advantage over electric vehicles that come from solar power plants is it's quick. And that becomes important in our day and age where, hey, everything moves so fast and all of a sudden it takes us an hour to fill up our car.
Right.
That just doesn't match up.
Right.
Hydrogen can bring us back down to that 5 minutes.
Now, here's the thing. Now, like I said with Visioneers, we've been getting a lot of questions from Visioneers just like you on some of the things that from his episode either got lost, forgotten, or we just simply didn't talk about. But one of them is that for creation of hydrogen, there's 3 different levels that are color-coded for creating hydrogen. And for Visioneers who aren't familiar, go ahead and walk us through what is the process of creating hydrogen on a global scale, industrial scale, because it's one thing to make enough hydrogen to be able to go ahead and use it for medical grade and stuff for labs, but to be able to make it mainstream where we're able to go through it and produce and be able to energize our fleets is something else. How does that process work?
Well, so to answer this, I'm going to go back to the beginning. This
Okay.
answer may take a few moments.
Okay, sure.
Because we're going to go back to the beginning. What is hydrogen? Is it an atom or is it a molecule?
Right.
It's both. So it's a diatomic molecule when it's in a molecular state, which
Right.
means you have 2 hydrogen atoms that have joined together to become a molecule.
Okay.
So it's the same thing. However, in conversation about hydrogen, especially when you're talking about energy or you're talking about chemicals, hydrogen is usually talked about in its molecular form, not its atomic form.
Right.
So,
So it's H2 is what we do.
H2, yeah. So as an atom, it's just H.
Right.
As a molecule, it's H2 because
Okay.
it takes 2 atoms to make that one molecule.
Okay.
So now that we know what it is, why is it important? Because hydrogen, when it stands alone by itself, when it's not connected to something, then it always wants to be connected. And when it's
Right.
not, it's very volatile. And when it's volatile, it's very valuable.
Okay.
And when its value is it's very powerful. So when you look at it from a mass standpoint, hydrogen is the most powerful element in the earth. But when you look at it volumetrically, not so much. And that becomes one of the challenges to bring hydrogen to the forefront to make it commercially viable globally.
Right.
And so now that we know what it is and we know why it's important, there's a couple other things you need to know. The colors of hydrogen. You mentioned there's 3. Oh my gosh.
And these are categories.
And then there's 10.
Oh, okay. All right.
And tomorrow there might be 11.
Sure, right.
So that's kind of what makes it fun. I mean, there's so many intense things to learn about it. You got to become serious, but the colors they brought a whole new dynamic to the whole process of hydrogen because some people don't like the colors, some people like the colors.
And these colors define how the hydrogen is processed.
It's the same molecule. It's given a human name by the way it was processed.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So the big 3 colors, as it were, because like you said, there's probably going to be 11 or 12 in the next week or so. But for general public, and our general consumption, what are the three main colors?
So, number one, gray hydrogen.
Okay.
Over 95% of the hydrogen produced on this planet today is gray hydrogen.
And what makes it gray hydrogen?
So gray hydrogen is considered a polluting hydrogen in the process to make it. The hydrogen itself, when you consume it, isn't polluting, but the process to make it is. And you use heat, you use natural gas, it's called steam methane reforming, and in the process you produce a lot of CO2, which is a greenhouse gas, and gray hydrogen is considered the cheapest way to make hydrogen, but it's also the most, not the dirtiest way, there's another dirtier way. That's called brown hydrogen. We'll get into that in a minute. But the gray hydrogen is so prominent. 95% of the hydrogen that we use today in industry, which is where most of hydrogen is used, is gray hydrogen. So then green hydrogen is a hydrogen that says, hey, we're not going to make any emissions. We know that hydrogen, when you consume it, doesn't make any emissions, with an asterisk. I'll talk about that in a minute. But for the most part, we don't make any emissions when we consume hydrogen.
Right.
But green hydrogen uses renewable fuels in the process to make it. The process is called electrolysis. So you have steam methane reforming. Now you have electrolysis. In electrolysis, we use renewable fuels, whether it comes from windmills, whether it comes from solar panels. And so the electricity we use to make electrolysis makes a hydrogen that we produce no emissions to make the hydrogen, and in consuming the hydrogen, we don't produce any emissions either.
Is the electrolysis system similar to what they use in San Diego and in, I believe, Santa Barbara, I could be wrong, for separating seawater to create drinking water? Is it a similar sort of process that you also use for creating hydrogen?
In some ways, yes.
Okay. So it's already, so the concept is already being used.
It's a cracking process.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
the concept
it's not new technology.
We've been, as a society, been producing hydrogen for 65 years now.
Okay.
And most of the hydrogen has been used in refineries. Some of it has been used in space programs.
Right.
Hydrogen in a liquid state makes a wonderful fuel for a rocket going out into space.
Right.
Because
just ask Elon Musk and SpaceX.
yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, don't ask the guys in the Hindenburg though. The difference was they weren't using it as a fuel; they were using it as an ability to float the Hindenburg.
Right.
But so then the third color is blue hydrogen.
Right.
So what is blue hydrogen? Green hydrogen is expensive as compared to gray hydrogen.
And you're dependent on the wind, and you're also dependent upon the sun to be able to do it.
You need solar, you need the wind, and so that makes the supply limited.
Right.
But it's loved from the aspect that it's clean. It's clean from start to finish.
Right.
The carbon intensity, we can call it almost zero when it comes to
But it's
green
really
hydrogen.
expensive.
But it's really expensive.
Right.
And yeah, that's a hard burden to get over.
Right,
And,
yeah.
When it's 6 to 1, it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, it's the difference between $250 gas and $5 gas.
Yeah. We talked about that last time. Yeah,
Right.
$50, $210.
Yeah.
Hard to get over that. So blue hydrogen comes in to save the day, but it's just like anything. It's making some compromises. And how do we get through anything? We make compromises.
Right.
So what blue hydrogen does, it says, hey, we're going to use the cheap method that gray hydrogen employs to make our hydrogen. It's the same molecule. It doesn't matter what color you call it. It's the same molecule. And then instead of allowing the CO2s to go into the atmosphere, which is what happens when you make gray hydrogen, we're going to capture those.
Okay.
We're not going to let it go into the atmosphere, and then we're going to capture it, and then we're going to sequester it underground.
Okay.
And so now there's some additional expenses with getting the underground storage spaces, and you have to verify that the underground storage space has all the right accommodations, so we don't create another
But they're
problem.
building a couple of those here in Kern County, are they not?
There's a couple that are ready for permit in Kern County, and there's one more in Northern California.
Okay, all right. So it's not like, this is a pie in the sky. There's actually a movement afoot to actually do carbon capture for blue hydrogen.
Yeah, so those are your three. And so what blue hydrogen does is it captures the the cheapness of making hydrogen using the Gray process, which is still expensive, but it's the cheapest way we know to make it.
Right.
And then it just says, hey, we got to add some cost because we need this underground, we have to capture that costs money to capture the
Right.
CO2, and we have to store it in the ground. So, but it still comes in quite a bit cheaper than green hydrogen. So the idea is, hey, this looks pretty good.
Right, right.
It's a good bridge, if nothing else. One day it'd be great to get to green hydrogen, but economically the numbers are so far apart.
Right.
We need to have that bridge. We need to develop hydrogen based on what we can do with blue hydrogen.
Now, teach me this, because this is one of the things that's fascinating, and I know some of my very green friends are going to quibble about this. But we have all across, not just Kern County, but all across America and around the world, we have all these oil wells that are tapped wells. That, they've been extracted as much oil as that can be. But you see this as an opportunity for hydrogen. Why is that?
That's what really got me interested in hydrogen to start with several years ago. So depleted oil reserve isn't, as the name makes it sound, implied. There's still 40, maybe as much as 50% of the product still in the reserve underground.
Really?
The problem is, the reason it's called depleted is it's no longer economical to produce.
Whether it's just the oil's too thick, or what are some of the other problems?
It hides.
Oh, okay. All right.
So when you think of a reservoir, you think of a nice big bowl.
Right.
But in reality, it's not a bowl. It kind of starts like a bowl from a distance, but as you get close, it's got all these crevasses or crevices in
sure.
it. And so the oil hides down there. So when you stick the first straws in, man, you're getting everything out of the top end of the bowl, but the bottom end of the bowl isn't smooth. It's got all these deep spots and pockets, and so you start drilling more, you capture a pocket, and maybe it works, and then it gets to a point it's just not worth it.
Right.
And then you realize, wow, this reserve had 100 million barrels. We got 50 million barrels out of it, and we're done.
Right.
So it's still there. It's just uneconomical to produce. So the idea of producing hydrogen from the ground up is, hey, why don't we incentivize those existing hydrocarbons to release their hydrogen? And we've come up with a way to do that.
Really?
And we thought, hey, if we can inject air, in the past we've proven that we accidentally produced hydrogen. So going forward, it's like, instead of just injecting air, let's inject oxygen. So we've modeled that, and we found out, man, we get commercial amounts. But now you get into, hey, the safety factors, the production factors, the permits, and it becomes tough. It becomes really, really tough.
But that's where you come involved. That's where EnergyLink is, because you already talked about that. You've got the downwell people. They already know how to do that. They already know how to inject down there and pull the product up. But this is where EnergyLink comes in. Once that comes to the surface, now you can take all that material, as it were, and do something with it.
So here's where the colors become important.
Okay.
First, they're fun to talk about.
Right.
So there's the entities and the governments that we have to make hydrogen happen.
Right.
We have to have the government support. We've got to have their money. And to find out if this technology really works, we got to be supported in the process to get there. So the charters that the governments have are attached to green hydrogen.
And many of which are going unfunded, or they're just not, people aren't using the money because there's just not enough people being able to do it.
And then to complicate matters even further, our idea that we've been promoting, I should say the idea that we've been promoting, it was our idea to promote it,
right,
is producing hydrogen in situ doesn't have a color. And being as it's not green, it's not in the charter of the hydrogen hubs that can help fund it.
So you're a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah, so so we got to looking, okay, well, let's not die on this sword. Let's still go forward with hydrogen.
Right.
And so the next thing we look at is there only 3 colors? there's a lot more colors.
Ah.
So there's been, what's really fun about being involved in hydrogen, nobody really knows. We're creating the path forward. Nobody really knows.
Right.
So it's not like, hey, well, what did we do 20 years ago? Well, none of this even came to light.
You guys are the pioneers with vision.
We didn't have colors 20 years ago. But there's more than just the green hydrogen, the blue hydrogen, and the gray hydrogen. And
Right.
there's a couple of other colors. There's a whole bunch of other colors, but there's a couple of other colors that are starting to come into prominence. So pink hydrogen, heard about that a little bit, not a whole lot. Pink hydrogen is hydrogen that's made using nuclear power.
Okay.
And
You don't need the sun and you don't need the wind.
and it doesn't produce any pollutants that we're measuring
Right.
in the process. However, you have to have the economy of scale. You have to have a really, really big operation.
Sure.
Doesn't mean it can't happen,
Right.
but it's hard for something that big to happen in the early development stages of
Okay.
bringing hydrogen. So another concept that's coming out is turquoise. And turquoise is a cool color, right?
Right,
Yeah,
sure,
we don't
right.
hear it a lot, but when we see it, everybody loves the color turquoise.
It's blue, it's green. No, it's turquoise.
It's turquoise, yeah. So turquoise is where you use pyrolysis, which is heat without oxygen.
Okay.
And when you have heat without oxygen, you don't produce any gaseous emissions, but what you do produce is a solid carbon, which is a valuable side effect. You can sell it. So
Wow.
carbon black is a sellable product. So this is new. It's technology. This is what you got to love about being involved in hydrogen at this day and age. Everybody's thinking in different ways. We're not limited to just the three colors.
Right.
And so we're coming up with different ways to do it. And even though we haven't got a color for our idea of hydrogen produced in situ from the ground up, there's one other color that's coming out that my favorite.
Okay.
That's white. White hydrogen is hydrogen that's found naturally, and it wasn't thought to exist in big deposits before. It was
Right.
just something. No, hydrogen you had to crack. You had to break
Right,
that
right.
covalent bond. But now all of a sudden we're getting more and more stories where, hey, there's deposits of white hydrogen that are commercial, and they're all over the globe.
Wow.
Don't know if these stories are true, but if they are, hydrogen will happen. All we have to do is figure out how to get that hydrogen to the ground and keep it in a hydrogen state.
And hope it's not El Dorado, the city of gold that doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you can read about this stuff on the internet, but
Well, everybody
really
knows everything
exist.
on the internet's true. Just ask Abraham Lincoln.
that's right.
Well, I know Emily is absolutely itching to ask you questions, but before we can do that, we have to play the fortune cookie game. You ready?
Am I?
Oh, I believe you are. Now, Visionaries, if you're not familiar with the
You
way
have a
the fortune
fortune
cookie
cookie.
game works, I have a sealed fortune cookie here in my hand. I have no idea what the message inside of it is, but our friend Ray has to take this fortune cookie, open it up, break open the... Wow, nice. He's done this before. And he has to read the message inside and read "in my business" or say
Have
"in
a
my
cookie."
business" afterwards. So go ahead and read the fortune on your cookie.
Trust your intuition in business.
Trust your intuition So
In
add
business.
"in my business" at the end of that.
Yeah. Trust your intuition in business.
In my business. Okay. How have you trusted your intuition in business?
Oh man, I always felt if I was working hard with the right things in mind, the right outcomes would come to be.
Yeah.
And I have to pull on that a lot of times, and a lot of times, just because what I'm doing, I think I'm doing it with good thoughts and the right ambitions, it's not necessarily going to be financially successful.
Right.
And there comes a point where you have to be wrong, and you have to stand up and say, hey, I was wrong. Doesn't mean you're wrong for trying.
Right.
but you're wrong if you don't recognize it and you keep going.
Right. You're also wrong if you don't try it at all.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're wrong if you're trying. Yeah. So your intuition will let you know. To me, it helps more when I have to make the tough decisions, not the easy ones. When everything's going great and good, you can say, "Oh man, I knew it was going to happen this way."
Right.
But where the intuitions come in value is when it says, "Hey, cut it out. Take another path. You've chosen the wrong one right now."
Now, Visioneers, now is the segment you've been waiting for. Yes, you have seen her behind the camera. You've seen her in Ray's episode where she's gotten herself locked up inside one of the canisters. And of course, Ray has shown her all kinds of wonderful things about his business on his episode. She is the one that is the polar opposite of me in so many good ways. It's now time for Emily's questions.
And Questions by Emily is sponsored by Cazador Consulting. Need elite talent to grow your team? Cazador Consulting Group in Bakersfield is your go-to partner in staffing and direct hires. They don't just fill jobs, they build lasting partnerships by listening to your needs and delivering top-tier customer service. At Cazador, mutual success isn't a goal, it's the standard. This is more than staffing, it's building your team so you can build your business. Visit CazadorConsultingGroup.com or call 877-800-4622. That's CazadorConsultingGroup.com or 877-800-4622, and let's build your future together.
Hi Emily, I'm Emily, and if you've got a question, feel free, drop it in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat as I grill Ray with our questions. But I am curious, Ray. So you mentioned you guys deal with blue hydrogen, mainly, right? Did I hear that right?
Say that again, I'm sorry?
You guys deal mainly with blue hydrogen?
No, we deal with mostly green. We deal with the equipment that allows hydrogen to be processed.
Okay, so it doesn't
So
really matter
we're not
the color.
producing hydrogen, we're counting on the producers of hydrogen to produce it. But if they don't get to produce it, our equipment doesn't mean anything.
I see, but your equipment can then produce all the colors of the rainbow.
Yeah, then we don't care. The equipment just says it's seeing a molecule. It doesn't know what color it was named. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. But, so I am curious then, how, and I'm gonna read my notes here. How do you deal with the delayed gratification that comes with waiting for hydrogen to pick up? Because you mentioned for the last 40 years, it's been 10 years out and 10 years out and 10 years out.
Still 10 years out.
It's still 10 years out and 10 years out. But how do you deal with that delayed gratification as a business owner who's like, I want to just keep pushing for it, keep pushing. But a lot of times in businesses all over the globe, we have this delayed gratification in some way, right? Everyone's working towards something. But how do you process that and deal with it and keep your team going forward even when it seems like it's just this elusive, always 10 years out kind of thing?
It does seem like it's elusive, and you get, sometimes you get these reality checks and you wonder, hey, is all this time and effort for naught, or we just, do we need to wait another 10 years to start again? But then you take a step back and you look at the whole picture and you say, hey, hydrogen's, every chart has its ups and its downs, and hydrogen is certainly trending up. Mm-hmm. At the moment, it's on a downward hit, but overall the trend is still going up. And sometimes you have to do that. You have to just take a step back and say, hey, and then you're just looking, hey, why am I doing this anyway?
Yeah.
Because I have a strong belief that hydrogen is going to be our fuel, a fuel of the future. Not the only fuel, but it's certainly going to be in the gamut, because, so anything that comes easy, it's not that sweet. And you just know, hey, the harder we fight for it, the better the victory is going to become. And in the meantime, you have your victories. You know, I mentioned last time, hey, we put out our first hydrogen compressor. It's gone to work. It's in play. It's on our resume. And,
yes.
And those gratifications boost us and move us along.
Well, what are some other wins that you guys have charted that have kept you and your employees, because it's another thing, is you can have this innate desire for hydrogen, but you also have to pass it on to the employees, right? What are some wins that they've gotten?
Yeah, I almost have to tamper it down.
Really?
Yeah, because the idea of staying in business is bigger than our hydrogen aspirations. So I've got to make sure the resources are still doing what we do really good, what got us to this point. Let's not abandon that. We got to keep doing that.
Yeah.
Why we try to expand the envelope and become more. And that's an exercise for me. I have to be careful because I want to bring in my best guys and share with them everything and hey, let's go this. But they got their jobs to do. So still want to make it happen, but I can't have the company go broke just because I want to make it happen.
But it sounds like the team you're working with, they're really invested in this too. Like this isn't just you on a soapbox saying, hydrogen's amazing. Like you have a whole team of people behind you that see this trend as well.
Not only here in California, but in Texas as well.
Really?
And Colorado now.
Okay, why
so
those places?
Because you find, when you're in the hydrogen business, you find, in any business, you find the people that share your aspirations. And we've just recently opened up a division in Texas, but the head guy out there, he loves our ideas on hydrogen. And one of my longtime colleagues, I brought him back into our fold, and who's out of Colorado, and said, hey, you got to help us with this hydrogen. And the reason we're coming together is because we all share the same energy about hydrogen. Man, we got to help make this happen.
You see the passion in it, and you see where it's going in the future.
Yeah, so we're not. We understand that it's not going to happen tomorrow, as much as we want it to.
Yeah.
So, it's fine that we have the setbacks because hey, that's the game. We know the game.
Is it kind of like when you're at the airport and it's a hurry up and wait?
Yeah. I want to get through security, so.
Yeah, like run to TSA, we gotta get there, and then it's like you're waiting in the line, and then it's like, okay, run to the gate, and then you're waiting for the plane, and it's like, okay, get on the plane, and then, okay, we're waiting for takeoff. Like, is it that kind of a thing?
Yeah, like I said, we have a resume now. We built our first one. It took a long time to get to do that. And, so now it's like, I felt like I'd have already had 10 more built by now. But the market's got to be there, and the market's a little soft right now, but it's just right now. Hydrogen has its place here, and we talked about the colors earlier. If white hydrogen really exists, man, this is going to happen so fast because now the economic hurdle is wiped out, and now we have clean energy.
That you just can source and it's there.
Now it's just build the infrastructure, and
How do you find that? If it's this white, at the elusive, Michael talked about El Dorado. It's like,
the human race worldwide is incredible. How we figure stuff out, you look back in the early 1900s when the radios worked. Who figured that out? How did anybody even know? And you can just go through a timeline progression of what happens in history. The human mind is incredible. Its ability to figure stuff out. Its creativity, just all down the line. We're an incredible species, and somehow or another we're going to make hydrogen happen. Who could have thought we'd ever gone to the moon? And now we're making plans to go to Mars.
yeah, it's just one thing after the next, huh?
Yeah.
It's generation after generation that makes this stuff happen.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see it in this generation?
I want to be part of the people that dares to try something new. And,
yeah, there's nothing new under the sun, and yet there's the sun to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when people say, hey, well, they did that, I want to be the they that they're talking about.
Yeah, it's for the bigger purpose, and seems like that's what keeps you going day in and day out, is knowing that there's a bigger plan in place.
Yeah, it just becomes it just like a hobby, man. I gotta do this.
Yeah. Well, we do have some questions that came in the shorts that people asked, and I'm going to see what you think of these. So, one person said, H2 burning in atmospheric gas above a certain temp produces NO and NO2, which aren't great to emit. And CO2 is a waste product. It can be a waste product. So, what do you say to those people? I'm not even quite sure what they're talking about.
So make sure I understand the comment there. So when you consume hydrogen through a fuel cell and convert it to electricity, there is zero emissions. End of story.
Okay.
There's a water emission, but there's zero pollutants emitted. However, when you combust hydrogen, if you combust it at very high temperatures, you can release a nitrous oxide if you are using air in your combustion process. If you're using pure oxygen, that doesn't happen. And the reason is, it's not the hydrogen that's producing the pollutants, it's the nitrogen in the air, and the hydrogen creates the heat that allows the nitrogen in the air to release the nitrous oxides. But the CO2s, the nitrous oxide is what gets released. That's what, but the amounts are very small. For example, right now, any car today that's a hydrogen car is an electric car. It's called an FCEV, a fuel cell electric vehicle. The fuel cell is what converts the hydrogen to electricity to operate the car, the electric car. Tomorrow's cars look like they're going to be hydrogen combustion engines, internal combustion engines. I like to call them ICHEs, I-C-H-E, internal combustion hydrogen engine. So that's my word that I bring to the industry. The rest of the industry calls it H2ICE, hydrogen internal combustion engine. And in those engines, we can control the nitrous oxide just by burning at a much lower temperature. And so compared to today's cars after catalytic converters, we're still putting out in today's trial engines, because they're not for sale yet. They're only at the laboratories. We're still putting out significantly reduced amounts of nitrous oxides when we're operating at full speed and highest temperatures. It's the temperature reacting with the nitrogen in the air that creates the NOx. It's not the actual fuel itself.
Ah, I see. Well, thank you for doing that for our visioneer who...
Well, I appreciate questions like that, because...
Yeah, well, we want to clarify so that people know. And even though some of this is just overheads, I'm sure, it will become more and more necessary to have people explaining it.
So in some heavy industrialized situations where the temperature gets way elevated, the NOx levels go up.
Yeah.
In cars, we don't have to see... At about 3,300 degrees is where we start seeing the elevated NOx released.
Yeah, but 3,300 degrees is quite a lot of degrees.
Yeah, when you're
probably
looking
not
at
happening in your home.
Yeah, and it's not happening in your car either. Your car is probably 900 to 1,000 degrees.
So my curiosity is the Flintstones. Did you watch that at all?
Say it again?
The Flintstones. Did you ever see that show?
I have not.
Meet the Flintstones. Meet the Flintstones.
Oh, the Flintstones. Yes,
Yeah.
that's like I said, the Flintstones.
A very happy family. And it was, a few decades ago, they had all these visions of what the future was going to look like, and the instant meals and the vacuum that drives itself. Wow, and the flying cars and things like that.
That was the Jetsons.
Those the Jetsons, not the Flintstones?
No, the Flintstones had the paddle car.
Oh gosh, now I've just made myself look silly. Okay, so you have the Flintstones,
Like,
who are
wait a
the
minute.
cave people,
Yes.
right? Okay, and then you have the Jetsons, which are the futuristic people, and the shows, I believe, aired around the same time, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm checking Michael for my history here. So you've got this, the people of the past and the people of the future. How was hydrogen kind of from the past, if you were to put it in cartoon form for our guests, or our visionaries, and then what do we see in the future it looking like? Like if we were to see this on a TV show and hydrogen was part of the Flintstones and the Jetsons, what would we see?
Wow. If hydrogen was part of the Flintstones, you would see something like the Hindenburg. They wouldn't know how to control it. They would have an oops and wouldn't understand its volatility. So now you fast forward to, oh man, why is it even important to the Jetsons? Because that Hindenburg couldn't have happened if there wasn't a lot of energy. And that's the value of hydrogen, is the energy. And so they say, all we have to do is control the energy. We're trying to do it now with wind and solar, oceans, all this. Anywhere there's energy, we want to figure out a way to control it for our best benefit. So in the Jetsons, we would see these flying cars that have no emissions, just energy that is without worry, because it's abundant and it's clean and it's powerful.
Nice. So next time they're running their vacuum, they know that
And,
it's
and,
all clean.
it, and it replenishes itself. We talked about white hydrogen, and if it really exists, when you look at the theories behind it, it just keeps replenishing itself. It has iron-rich rock and water and heat that's existing below surface, and it's kind of like all of the elements that make up steam methane reforming. They're all down there happening in nature's way.
Yeah. Well, and everything's a theory until it's fact, and then we've sure seen a lot of theories become fact, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is pretty neat. Well, what are some last notes you have for any of our Visioneers watching?
So, hydrogen can be fun. And
It is
learning
fun.
about hydrogen has been fun, and it started with, is it an atom or molecule? And then, thank God for, first we used to say the internet, ChatGPT, oh my gosh, that makes it so much better. But then we talked about the colors, and then the other fun thing about learning about hydrogen, it's an industry in itself, and it has its own lingo. And if you learn the lingo, then you got to start learning all the little acronyms. What does ARCHES mean, and on and on and on. So some of my favorite words that come out of hydrogen, they're kind of clever, because sometimes you feel like they're just going to make a new word just to make one, because we're the hydrogen guys. We're going to talk in a language that nobody else understands around us. Yeah. So one of the fun words is off-taker. What's an off-taker? Off-taker's a customer. It's somebody who buys, they take the hydrogen off your hand. There's a lot of cool words, a lot of cool acronyms that go in the hydrogen business. And,
Good to know, an off-taker. I'll
Yeah.
have to, say that next time my brother's trying to off-take the ice cream out of my hands.
yeah, that makes you an off-taker, yeah.
Well, thank you, Ray. This has been lovely. If Visioneers want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Well, you can always just type Energy Link in, and
It'll pop up.
LinkedIn, Ray Miller. Anybody's accessible these days. All you have to do is have a computer.
Very true. Well, Visioneers, this is a wonderful episode, and there are many wonderful episodes on our channel, and including the one that just dropped this Saturday, as in a couple days ago. We had Charles Sears from Torque MSP. We talked about how do you choose the right AI marketing tools to truly support your business and your sales team, what to consider before implementing new AI strategies, and what kind of AI does a marketing team use to promote themselves. It was very fascinating. You should definitely check that out. And remember, we will be live every Monday at 5, and Saturdays, the main show episodes go up. So there's plenty to see. Tune in every week, and we will see you next week for our Live at 5 Meat and Potatoes.